high-temperature apocalypse with scarcity of resources. A single ice cube could provoke desperate fights. Outdoor temperatures could melt the soles of shoes. Those unfortunate enough to fall could instantly be sun-dried into jerky. In this apocalypse, water has become the most precious commodity. Yet, my safe house not only boasts an enormous swimming pool, it also features all-day air conditioning and endless supplies. All because I stockpiled enough supplies to last 10 lifetimes before the apocalypse arrived. On a bus heading towards the commercial capital, a group of young people are chattering non-stop. Hey, beautiful, did you see the news? Everything in River South City's Walmart and Ali's warehouses has been cleared out. Pfft, that's old news. Look, breaking news from today. The water in Shin City's East Bright Lake has dried up, and the Big Prosperity East Supermarket's warehouse is empty too. All those supplies must be worth hundreds of billions. At that moment, a young man sitting alone in the last row by the window suddenly speaks up. Actually, it should be in the Trillians. From Broad City in the south to the Magic City in the north, all the large warehouses have been empty, but they're probably not reporting it to avoid causing panic. Oh my, with all the earthquakes and volcanoes, could it be the end of the world? Damn, are you kidding me? How could that be? If it really were the end of the world, I'd actually be kind of excited. That would be when everyone is truly equal. At that time, Suchin sits in the back seat, his gaze as deep as an abyss. Everyone equal? Even if it were the end of the world, there would never be a day when everyone is equal, because I have experienced it myself. He is reborn from the apocalypse, having returned to 1 month before its onset. Although he does not know why, clearly fate has given him a second chance. Yet, his identity is just that of an ordinary delivery man. The apocalypse descends. Due to the abnormal release of solar energy, the Earth's core begins to expand rapidly. The atmospheric temperature rises sharply. Frequent seismic activities occur, and monsters hidden underground emerge to the surface. The whole world has changed. New world, new order. In that world of extreme scarcity, even for a packet of instant noodles or a stick of sausage, one must give everything. And I am from such an apocalypse, reborn 1 month before the apocalypse. Hearing this, the woman moved closer. Just now, listening to them, I got a bit scared. Could you possibly? But Suchin simply waved his hand. Sorry, I have more important things to do. Then he got off the bus and left. The apocalypse is coming. What's most important? Obviously, supplies. After saying this, Suchin arrived in front of a supermarket. It turns out Suchin was an employee of this supermarket. In my past life, I wasted all my time looking for supplies. This time I must prepare in advance. When the apocalypse came last time, the boss ran away early, and I lost a year's wages, so these supplies are like compensation to me. Might as well take them. He approached the shelves. With a sweep of his right hand, he transferred all the supplies in the warehouse into an alternate space. It turns out that the alternate space he awakened in his previous life was reborn with him. Once he opens the alternate space, everything around can be taken into a giant cube space measuring 10,000 meters on each side. This also made it extremely convenient for him to acquire supplies at no cost. With this ability, I drained 2 freshwater lakes and scavenged several cities doomed to destruction in the apocalypse. In the apocalypse, even a packet of instant noodles is a luxury, not to mention fresh food, and time is stopped here. Food can remain fresh no matter how long it's stored. Finally, I don't have to eat dirt in the apocalypse like in my previous life. Then Suchin checked the inventory of space supplies. This should be enough to last me a long time in this apocalypse. Just then, the boss entered the warehouse with 2 employees, only to find the huge warehouse was now completely empty. Then the boss pointed at me and loudly demanded, Suchin, where are the warehouse supplies? Upon hearing this, Suchin just chuckled. The items? I took them all. The 3 of them flew into a rage upon hearing this. What the hell did you do, you bastard? Grab him. Suchin then performed a spatial jump and disappeared in a flash. The employees reached out but grasped at air. Then, Suchin landed steadily outside the warehouse. The alternate space could not only store supplies, but also enabled spatial jumps within 3 meters. With the apocalypse upon us, this skill allows me to enter abandoned buildings to find supplies and escape safely. Even faced with mutant beasts, spatial jumping can save my life at critical moments. Now, he could finally breathe a sigh of relief. Suchin checked his phone, and the trending searches and reports were all about strange phenomena and disappearing supplies recently. The Earth is experiencing severe movements, which may lead to local natural disasters. Please take precautions. The situation is currently under control and will not affect everyone's daily life. Please do not panic excessively. Is the government trying to avoid panic because they know the apocalypse is coming? Suchin scoffed at his phone. Just as he was about to take a short nap, a call suddenly came in. Jiang Xiaoqian? Seeing this name, Suchin's hand clenched tightly. After a moment, he sighed and answered the phone. Suchin, what do you mean by disappearing like this? Is it childish? And you even listed the house with an agent. Do you think I care about your house? What I want is your attitude. You have no parents. If you don't transfer the house to me, how can I feel secure being with you? Where are you now? Hurry back. I've already contacted Manager Liu. We can transfer the ownership today. Give me the house, and we can have the wedding next month. Is there anything else? What kind of attitude is that? With that attitude, you can forget about marrying me in this lifetime. I'm on my way back to the commercial capital. We'll talk when I get back. After saying this, Suchin hung up the phone. A surge of memories called hatred welled up from his mind. In his previous life, Suchin survived the apocalypse with Jiang Xiaoqian and others because he had awakened abilities for spatial jumping and traversal, which were rare. He had always been very careful to hide his awakened abilities. Because of his spatial abilities, he was always the one who found the most supplies. Wang Haoyu and Jiang Xiaoqian ate mostly what Suchin found. It can be said that without Suchin, Jiang Xiaoqian and the others would have starved to death in the apocalypse long ago. Once, Wang Haoyu and Suchin went out to find supplies and encountered a mutant beast. The mutant beast bit into Wang Haoyu's major artery. Although the beast was killed, Wang Haoyu's major artery was bleeding uncontrollably. In order to stop the bleeding, Suchin, without thinking, took out some bandages from his alternate space that he had found while gathering supplies. But just because he exposed his alternate space, it brought deadly trouble for Suchin. He still remembers the ugly faces and words of these two people just before they died. Once he's dead, the supplies in his alternate space will definitely spill out. Exactly. Who knows what good stuff this dead lackey hid while he was out gathering supplies. Really looking forward to it. Now that this lackey is dead, the two of us don't have to sneak around anymore. Thinking back now, in his previous life, he was really a fool to have trusted such people with his life in his back. But this time, Wang Haoyu, Jiang Xiaoqian, I will make you pay. You will not die easily. The pain I once suffered, I want you to experience it 100, 1,000 times over. He took a deep breath, calmed his emotions, and then called Manager Lu on his phone. Hello, Manager Lu, I'm okay with selling my apartment at half price, but I want cash right now. After returning to the commercial capital, Suchin went to the real estate agency. Just as he got out of the taxi, he saw Jiang Xiaoqian waiting at the entrance of the agency, presumably having learned about his call from Manager Lu. And standing next to Jiang Xiaoqian was Wang Haoyu. Wang Haoyu, Jiang Xiaoqian's so-called male best friend, also her sworn brother. Thinking about it now, perhaps these two have been involved with each other for a long time. Wang Haoyu walked over to Suchin with disdain. Fuck, damn Suchin, who allowed you to sell the house? Did you get my sister's permission? Transfer the house to my sister right now, or this isn't over. Suchin suddenly stepped forward, grabbed his neck, and slammed him to the ground. I can do whatever I want with my stuff. Jiang Xiaoqian screamed and hurriedly ran over to pull Suchin away. Let go! What are you doing? Somebody help! Help! He's killing someone. Jiang Xiaoqian kept pushing Suchin, who suddenly slapped her across the face. Jiang Xiaoqian's face instantly swelled up, and she sat down on the ground, her mind going blank. Wang Haoyu looked at Suchin in terror. Let go! His voice was hoarse, and he couldn't utter a complete sentence. Suchin looked at Wang Haoyu's gradually reddening face, staring at him and saying, you won't die too quickly, don't worry. While speaking, a cruel smile flickered at the corner of Suchin's mouth. Then, Suchin let go of Wang Haoyu. Wang Haoyu, still terrified, watched Suchin and kept coughing, his mind filled with the memory of the cold smirk that had just flashed by. Suchin slowly stood up and turned to walk into the real estate agency. It wasn't until Suchin had completely left that Jiang Xiaoqian, still in shock, hurriedly scrambled up and ran towards Wang Haoyu. Little you, how are you? Wang Haoyu was holding his neck, continuously coughing. He tried to stand, but his legs were trembling and his trousers were already wet. Jiang Xiaoqian seemed to snap back to her senses, looking angrily towards Suchin. Suchin, kneel down and apologize before I get angry. Otherwise, you'll never get to marry me in your lifetime. Although previously always obedient to Jiang Xiaoqian, even to the point of being called a lackey, at this moment, Suchin acted as if he hadn't heard a thing. But when Suchin turned to look at Wang Haoyu and Jiang Xiaoqian were so frightened that they ran away. Suchin snorted coldly, useless trash. Inside the real estate agency, Manager Lu quietly said to Suchin, Mr. Su, I'll pay for your house. What do you think? Manager Lu was delighted. A house worth over $1 million. This fool is selling for 700,000. I can make a few $100,000 with a flip. Okay, but it has to be all in cash. Can you pay today? Manager Lu, yes. I'll call my colleague over right now, and we'll sign the contract and transfer the money. Although various disasters have occurred around the world so far, the commercial capital is in the central inland, far too distant from earthquakes, tsunamis, volcanic eruptions, and the like. Additionally, there are the government's denials, so life here continues to be orderly. After getting the money, Suchin returned to his neighborhood. At that moment, Suchin suddenly saw fast loans posted on a telephone pole. Predatory lending? Suchin immediately took a taxi there. Suchin arrived at the loan office, where a corpulent middle-aged man was sitting inside. Upon seeing this person, he paused for a moment. Isn't this Wang Haoyu's what's-his-name big brother? Seems to be called Wang Dehai. Previously, during the apocalypse, Wang Haoyu was following him. Suchin had seen him a few times, and later he died at the maw of a mutant beast, after which Wang Haoyu started following Suchin. At that time, Suchin didn't know that this guy was involved in predatory lending. Suchin handed over the deed, and Wang Dehai squinted his eyes. This house isn't worth much. I can only loan you 500,000. Suchin quickly said, add another 100,000. I need it now. Don't worry, give me 1 week. I'll return it immediately after I make a profit. Wang Dehai's eyes narrowed, realizing he was dealing with a gambler, which he loved. Once they get involved, they'd even dare to sell their own parents. My loan company aims to rescue people from desperate situations. Since you put it that way, I'll give you 600,000, but you need to sign an IOU for 1 million. That's the rule. Suchin didn't hesitate and signed the contract right away. The money was immediately transferred. Meanwhile, just as Suchin was leaving the office building, not far away, Wang Haoyu was cursing as he and Jiang Xiaoqian got out of a car. By this time, Wang Haoyu had changed into new pants. Sis, don't stop me this time. I must make this bastard pay. Damn it, he dared to hit me. I'll have my big brother kill him. Jiang Xiaoqian looked furious. If you kill him, what about the house? That house is worth over $1 million. Are you going to give me that money? As the two walked towards the building, Jiang Xiaoqian suddenly spotted a familiar figure. Little you, look, isn't that Suchen? Wang Haoyu looked and frowned. It really is that bastard. What's he doing here? Let's follow him. I want to see what this guy has been up to these days. At that moment, Suchen was already in a taxi heading to the Green City Hotel. In memory, the Green City Hotel had withstood various natural disasters without falling, while other commercial buildings had collapsed under the impacts of seawater backflow and rapid freezing cold, and the Green City Hotel stood till the end. The Green City Hotel is also a star-rated hotel, and it's said that the presidential suite there is extremely well equipped. It even has a swimming pool. It could be used as a base, making it a nice place to live for a long time. While there are supplies from the large warehouses, these are ultimately not as good as freshly made hot dishes. Suchen approached a waiter. Hello, I would like to order 1,000 banquet tables. The waiter was flabbergasted. How many? 1,000 tables. Alright, what price range are you looking at? We have options at 5,000 per table, 10,000 per table, and going up. We also have 30,000 and 100,000, 10,000 per table. 1,000 tables, that makes 10 million. I'll give you a 500,000 deposit. Lu Xinrui appeared somewhat troubled. A 500,000 deposit. Okay, then it's 500,000. For these rich folks, a little more or less in the deposit doesn't matter much. The most important thing in business is to be tactful. Su Chen, without another word, immediately transferred the money, leaving an address. After it's ready, contact me to deliver to this address. Lu Xinrui asked quietly, this, Mr. Su, are you getting married? Su Chen thought for a moment and made up on the spot. Yes, it's for a wedding. Oh, and book a presidential suite for me as well. Lu Xinrui's eyes lit up. It's available. If you book now, you can just pay the room fee, 13,000 per night. Su Chen transferred the money again, and Lu Xinrui, looking at Su Chen, was starry-eyed. My goodness, looks like someone's going to have their honeymoon here. Just book the presidential suite. Whoever is marrying him is really lucky. Su Chen felt lucky too. 10 million worth of food, and he sorted it with a 500,000 deposit. As for the balance, well, in an extreme heat apocalypse, a single ice cube could be worth billions. Su Chen left the Green City Hotel, to the surprise of Jiang Xiaoqian and Wang Haoyu. Jiang Xiaoqian and Wang Haoyu walked in and saw Lu Xinrui directing in the lobby, so they approached to inquire. Hello, I'd like to ask about that person just now. What was he here for? Lu Xinrui looked puzzled. Just now, are you talking about Mr. Su? Jiang Xiaoqian nodded quickly. Yes, Su Chen, my boyfriend. Lu Xinrui sized up Jiang Xiaoqian and thought to herself that she only seemed about a 7 out of 10, her appearance and demeanor not even matching her own, wondering why rich people these days liked such types. Your boyfriend? Oh, you are really lucky. Your boyfriend just booked 1,000 banquet tables here, 10,000 per table. He paid a 500,000 deposit directly. Having such a boyfriend, you are really blessed. Jiang Xiaoqian looked incredulous. No, that can't be. He has money to order a 10 million banquet? Lu Xinrui nodded earnestly. Of course, sometimes, we might not understand the actions of these rich people, but there must be a reason behind what they do. Wang Haoyu looked at Jiang Xiaoqian and then at Lu Xinrui. That lackey, Su Chen, he's really rich? Lu Xinrui pulled out the recent transaction receipt. Look, 500,000 just transferred. In the end, how Jiang Xiaoqian and Wang Haoyu left the hotel, they couldn't even remember. Wang Haoyu pondered. Sis, he booked 1,000 tables. Who is he inviting? Jiang Xiaoqian glanced at Wang Haoyu. You don't understand. He's rich, and now as his official girlfriend, I'm getting promoted. Of course, he wants me to meet his circle. Definitely inviting some wealthy people to make my status known. Saying this, Jiang Xiaoqian puffed out her chest. Wang Haoyu, enviously looking, was just about to reach out to touch. So, what should we do? Jiang Xiaoqian thought for a moment. A chance encounter. Pretend it's an accidental meeting. See what this lackey is up to. The two of them chatted back and forth, and unknowingly, Jiang Xiaoqian had already assumed the role of a rich wife. At this moment, Su Chen was checking his bank balance on his phone. He made 700,000 from selling the house, took out a loan of 600,000, and spent 500,000 on booking meals. But during his earlier spree of free shopping, he didn't manage to buy many essentials, and even with just a deposit paid, the remaining 800,000 wasn't much. That's right, online loans. If he didn't take advantage of online loans now, it would be such a waste. So, after returning home, Su Chen immediately began downloading various apps and contacting various small ads. He spent the whole day downloading over 80 apps, taking photos 30 times. The amount amounts of the online loans varied from $30,000 to $30. Eventually, he managed to secure $970,000 through online loans. Suchin looked at the day's achievements and felt it was a very fulfilling day. That evening, he didn't waste any time because there were still some items he needed to buy. He ordered a batch of fireplaces and ice machines online, then contacted a smokeless coal factory and the local ice plant. Whether he could survive the coming extreme heat and severe cold depended on whether he had enough of these two items. The smokeless coal would be delivered directly by the supplier, while the ice factory required Suchin to visit in person the next day. Suchin directly purchased 2,000 tons of smokeless coal. The total cost was $5 million. Suchin first sent a deposit of $500,000, with the balance to be paid upon receipt of the goods. The next day, Suchin prepared to visit the ice factory, having arranged yesterday to order 2,000 tons of ice. As Suchin was about to head to the ice factory, he suddenly saw Jiang Xiaoqian and a girl walking towards him. Ah, isn't that Suchin? Long time no see. Jiang Xiaoqian has been thinking about you these past few days. Suchin looked at the girl next to Jiang Xiaoqian. Isn't that Lina, a classmate from university? She is also Jiang Xiaoqian's best friend. The idea for Jiang Xiaoqian to try to take over Suchin's house had also come from Lina. Thinking about me? Thinking about what? My house? Lina's face changed, and she exchanged a glance with Jiang Xiaoqian, their eyes betraying a hint of surprise. Ah, Chen, really? Jiang Xiaoqian was just testing you before. How can you be so clueless? And to get physical with Jiang Xiaoqian, do you know how heartbroken she was? Suchin stood up to leave, but Jiang Xiaoqian suddenly stepped forward and grabbed him. Suchin, aren't you working today? If you're not, could you walk with me? I've been feeling a bit down these days, and I snapped at you yesterday. Please don't be mad at me. Now, Suchin couldn't even be bothered to look at her. He didn't want to waste time with the dead. I'm busy today. You go ahead by yourself. Jiang Xiaoqian watched in surprise as Suchin walked away. What? What's going on? He's acting too well. Lina quickly pushed Jiang Xiaoqian. What are you standing around for? Follow him. This guy must be a rich second generation. This is your final test. The two hurriedly hailed a taxi and followed the car Suchin was in. Suchin arrived at the entrance of Ronghua Ice Factory, where Wu Ronghua was already waiting. You must be Mr. Su. Ah, so young. Suchin shook hands with Wu Ronghua. Mr. Wu, as discussed over the phone, 2,000 tons of edible ice. How long will it take? Wu Ronghua patted his chest. Our ice factory doesn't brag about anything else, but efficiency. We are definitely number one. 3 days. 2,000 tons of edible ice in 3 days. All set. Suchin took out his phone. I'll transfer 100,000 as a deposit. Have it delivered to the address I gave you in 3 days. Wu Ronghua was smiling so broadly he could barely close his mouth. All right, done. Mr. Su, what do you need so much ice for? Is there a large event? We can collaborate further in the future. The price can be negotiated. Suchin was silent for a moment. I'm planning to take it to Alashan for charity. Wu Ronghua was momentarily confused. Charity? To Alashan? Before Wu Ronghua could recover, Suchin had already gotten into a taxi and left. Just then, another taxi arrived. At this point, Wu Ronghua was somewhat befuddled. Someone else coming to discuss business without an appointment. Jiang Xiaoqian got out. Mr. Wu, that was my fiancé just now. What were you guys talking about? Wu Ronghua looked at Jiang Xiaoqian with some surprise. Fiancé? What is this? A detective play? That's right. Mr. Su just ordered 800,000 worth of ice from us. Jiang Xiaoqian was shocked. Although she didn't know what Suchin was doing with all that ice, one thing was certain. Suchin must be wealthy. The kind of wealthy that means big money. Lina asked, boss, what big business is Suchin doing? He said he's taking it to Alashan for charity. Jiang Xiaoqian and Lina were baffled. Everything had already been purchased, and now he was left with only 300,000. After returning, Suchin went straight to a well-known local restaurant, the Elegant Forest Music Restaurant. In his previous life, busy with life, he didn't have the luxury of visiting upscale music restaurants, let alone having time to relax in a small cafe and read. But this time, with the apocalypse approaching, he planned to thoroughly relax. Hello, welcome. The waiter brought out the menu, and Suchin looked at the menu in front of him, which featured dishes typical of upscale restaurants. Pan-seared foie gras, salt-baked snow frog, golden sauce duck tongue. Finally, Suchin turned his attention to the last page, which ended with a question mark. What does this mean? This question mark item was the most expensive, priced at 17,000. This is personally prepared by the chef of our Elegant Forest restaurant. The specific dish depends on the chef's creation. Suchin nodded. I see. That sounds quite interesting. Let's go with that. The waiter was surprised. Okay, I'll arrange it right now. When the catastrophe began in his previous life, a strange force caused many creatures to mutate. The mythical beast from the classic of mountains and seas, known as the Screaming Serpent, was quite similar to the mutant snake Suchin had encountered. But rather than calling it a mutation, he preferred to think of it as a reversion to ancient traits. Suchin continued reading, and soon a woman with a good figure came over with a dish and placed it directly on his table. Suchin looked at her. She was dressed in a chef's uniform, tall and slim, her noble demeanor hardly concealed by the chef's attire. At one glance, Suchin was instantly stunned, not because she was particularly beautiful, but he recognized recognized her. Hell's chef, Duanya, her culinary skills, even amidst the apocalypse, still had the power to turn decay into magic, and her ingredients were not human, but those mutant beasts. No matter what kind of mutant beast, in Duanya's hands, it could definitely be considered top-notch cuisine. No one could resist such temptation, but those dishes were made from the mutant essence within the beasts, and to eat them was to die. At this moment, watching Duanya personally serve him the dish, Su Chen's mouth twitched, and Duanya looked surprisingly at the man before her. What's going on? A great beauty, personally cook and serve him, and this is his expression? Is he afraid I poison the dish? This is made specially for you, called two-faced life. One side is seared with light palm oil, the other is deep-fried in pastry. It's one steak, two distinct flavors that mix and linger endlessly in your mouth. Your attire and the aura you carry seem to reflect two different lives, suggesting you have experienced things ordinary people cannot fathom. Su Chen was somewhat surprised. He hadn't expected her perception to be so sharp. Under Duanya's guidance, Su Chen began to cut the steak, tasting the two-faced life specially made for him. I have to say, this 10,000 was well spent. Meanwhile, Jiang Xiaoqian and Li Na were walking over with gloomy expressions. Then, Li Na immediately spotted Su Chen sitting by the window, talking with Duanya. Xiaoqian, your husband is definitely a rich second generation. That's Duanya, the head chef of Elegant Forest Restaurant. I heard that her dishes start at tens of thousands. Your husband is ordering Duanya's dishes in there. Jiang Xiaoqian was baffled. Although she had already mentally accepted the fact that Su Chen was wealthy, seeing him dining elegantly inside, Duanya attentively guiding him, left her feeling uneasy. It further confirmed that Su Chen is indeed wealthy. I must become a rich wife. Absolutely. That night, Su Chen went to Century Bar. This place is undoubtedly a favorite among the youth. It is also a significant gold mine in the commercial capital. It is said that a rich second generation once ordered a round of drinks for a bartender here, spending over 2 million. Then, that bartender took her commission, quit her job, and ran away that same day, and the rich second generation didn't even get to see what an abalone looked like. Talk about being a big sucker. Su Chen walked in, alone, and opened a booth with a minimum spend of 50,000. Then colorful drinks started flowing in. Although he had never been to such places before, having lived through the apocalypse, no scene could intimidate him. Su Chen's actions also attracted the attention of many gold diggers. Soon, a few girls came giggling to Su Chen's side. Handsome, are you alone? Can we join your table? Su Chen glanced over. 3 girls, scantily clad, with quite the curvy figures, 2 of them clearly wearing heavy smoky makeup, obvious veterans of the bar scene. And there was a petite girl in a crop top looking timid, seemingly fascinated by everything around her. The woman pouring drinks whispered, Big brother, we actually came out with Yuyun. Her boyfriend cheated on her. What a jerk. Just because she wouldn't sleep with him, he cheated with an older woman. It's really disgusting. Do you guys really care that much about sleeping with women? Su Chen smiled. It's human nature, a reproductive desire etched in our bones and genes. Suddenly, Yuyun downed her drink in one gulp and then looked at Su Chen. Handsome, are you single? Su Chen nodded. At that moment, Yuyun's eyes lit up. Big brother, have you ever had a one-night stand? Under the influence of alcohol, Yuyun boldly grabbed Su Chen's hand, and this scene was just witnessed by Jiang Xiaoqian and Li Na. Su Chen, what are you doing? Is this cheating? Seeing this, Su Chen grabbed Yuyun and ran upstairs, entered her room, locked the door, and quickly shook her to sobriety, casually advising, don't go out these next few days. Stock up on food at home. Also, being love-struck doesn't suit places like this. Forget it. There's no next time. When Su Chen was left with just over 50,000 after his spending, some of the items he had ordered online began to arrive. Hello, is this Mr. Su? The 20 large fireplaces you ordered have arrived. Mr. Su, the 10 large ice machines have been delivered to your specified location. Where should we place them? Su Chen first had the large fireplaces and ice machines transported to the warehouse. Don't block the entrance. Put the ice here. Just handle the moving. At this time, quite a few people gathered around the warehouse, watching the unloading of Su Chen's purchases. Wang Haoyu hurriedly reported to Jiang Xiaoqian, Su Chen bought a lot of large machines. I don't know what they are, but they are being transported to the warehouse now. Xiaoqian, do you see that? Isn't that the banquet at Green City Hotel? Do you think he might suddenly propose to you today, and then the guests will come from all directions? Jiang Xiaoqian was excited, but at that moment, she puffed up her chest. Even if he proposes, I might not accept. It depends on his sincerity. Jiang Xiaoqian and Li Na walked over. Su Chen, what are you doing? Jiang Xiaoqian put on a surprised expression. Su Chen's eyes flickered, and then he spoke. Can you help move some stuff? I'll tell you after we're done. Jiang Xiaoqian hesitated for a moment. Move stuff? What a joke. I'm going to be a rich wife. How could I do such rough work? Just as she was about to refuse, Li Na whispered, Qian, this might be a test for you. He wants to see if you really qualify to be a rich wife. Jiang Xiaoqian's eyes lit up, and she then looked at Su Chen. Fine, I'm not one of those pretentious women. To become a rich wife, one must excel both in character and learning. As long as I pass the test, Su Chen will surely marry me today. Not just Jiang Xiaoqian, Li Na was also trying hard to show off her merits in front of Su Chen. When she stepped forward to to help, there was no hesitation. After all, she had heard quite a bit about how the children of wealthy families were often lecherous, and her own looks were not bad. Even if she couldn't become a rich wife, getting a taste of the good life was still possible. Suchin watched the two busy themselves, and a cold smile appeared on his face. Free labor is not to be wasted. 1,000 tables of food, 2,000 tons of ice. Even with Green City Hotel and Wurongwa bringing people over, it would take a long time to move everything. After the work, the two of them were already imagining Suchin announcing Jiang Xiaoqian as the bride, surrounded by a large crowd congratulating them, followed by the wedding banquet. However, Suchin only came forward to check the warehouse and then ignored everyone. There were 2,000 tons of ice, which naturally couldn't be finished quickly, but the food from the hotel was moved within a few hours. Suchin took out a red envelope with $10,000 and handed it to the delivery driver. The rest of the funds will be supplemented within a week. Thank you for your hard work. Let's congratulate Mr. Su then. We will head back now. As the Green City Hotel's vehicle gradually departed, Jiang Xiaoqian and Li Na hurried over. Suchin, what were you about to say just now? Suchin looked at the two of them and sneered. The thing is, I appreciate your help with the work, but there's no pay. Jiang Xiaoqian still managed a strained smile at Suchin. You, stop joking. There must be a surprise around here. Come on, I was just testing you earlier. I'm not mad anymore. Let the people around come out. Let's get married and settle down. Get married and settle down? Actually, I would also like to marry and settle down with you, but I really have no money. I've even sold my family's house, and now I owe a lot of loans. Would you still want to be with me? Li Na was shocked. Don't joke, Suchin. You have no money? With that multi-million-dollar banquet and the tens of thousands spent at restaurants, how can you be broke? Even selling a house wouldn't make up for millions. Suchin feigned surprise. Oh, you're talking about that? I ordered that for someone else. These dishes will be taken away later by someone, a big boss doing good deeds. I heard it's for poverty alleviation in Alasan. I don't know about the rest. They'll be pulling the stuff out soon. Jiang Xiaoqian glared and lunged at Suchin. Suchin, you're not a rich second generation. You damn lied to me. Suchin turned away and dodged Jiang Xiaoqian and the others. What did I lie to you about? Jiang Xiaoqian fell to the ground. Suchin, you bastard. You're not a rich second generation. You'll never marry me. Suchin sneered. Who cares about a gold digger like you? Jiang Xiaoqian roared in anger. Suchin, you just wait. You dare to play me. I'll make you regret it. Suchin scoffed. Idiot. You'll see what's coming at the end. Then, Suchin went inside the warehouse, closed the door, and stored everything in the warehouse into a different dimension. Next, he could go to the Green City Hotel and wait for the end. At that moment in Green City Hotel, Wang Dehai was still chuckling at Jiang Xiaoqian. Chan, with little you'll live the good life. And here in the commercial capital, I, Wang Dehai, have some influence. Jiang Xiaoqian nodded shyly. Wang Haoyu laughed heartily, feeling very proud. Having such a girlfriend in his arms, life was joyful indeed. But this joy didn't last long before he saw Suchin eating alone not far away. Wang Haoyu's eyes widened, and anger surged immediately. Wang Haoyu said to Wang Dehai, "Big brother, that's the kid who attacked me before." Wang Dehai walked up to Suchin and exclaimed in surprise, "Damn, it's you, kid." Wang Haoyu was surprised. "Big brother, you know him?" Wang Dehai pointed at Suchin. "This guy here, he mortgaged his house with me and borrowed 600,000 from me. By my calculations, it's about time he paid it back." Wang Haoyu laughed menacingly. "So he borrowed money from my brother, huh? Now, we can settle new grudges along with the old." Jiang Xiaoqian suddenly felt relieved that she had distanced herself from him earlier. She never expected him to be this kind of person, thinking his mention of a loan was about a bank loan, not realizing it was a high-interest loan from Wang Haoyu's brother. Li Na whispered, "I can't believe Suchin dared to take a high-interest loan. He really has a death wish." Despite Wang Dehai and his group's threatening demeanor, Suchin remained composed, not even bothering to stand up, simply asking, "Is there a problem?" Wang Dehai said, "What? You have to pay back the money tomorrow. Don't tell me you can come up with 600,000 tonight." Wang Haoyu pointed at Suchin and yelled, "He can't produce a damn thing. This useless trash. Big brother, don't waste your words on him. Last time, this guy dared to attack me. Kill him." Saying this, Wang Haoyu signaled to a few of his men, and they immediately surrounded Suchin. At the hotel, seeing that the situation was about to escalate, Lu Xinrui hurried over. "Gentlemen, what is this? Come on, don't be angry. Let's talk it over." Wang Dehai snorted coldly. "Talk it over? All right, let this kid kneel and kowtow to me and apologize to my brother. Then we can let this matter go." Lu Xinrui was clearly in a difficult position. "Mr. Su, what's going on here?" Suchin shook his head. "It's nothing, just a few losers." Hearing this, Wang Dehai slammed the table and roared, "Kid, am I giving you too much face? You're done today. Not even the King of Heaven can save you now." At that moment, a man with a slick back hairstyle approached. "What's going on here?" Causing a scene in someone else's hotel. At the sound of the voice, everyone quickly turned to look at the man. Wang Dehai looked surprised. "Brother Chan, what are you doing here?" Suchin also looked at the man with the slick back hair, but when he saw his face, he was suddenly taken aback. Gao Chan. He hadn't expected to encounter him here. In the past life, under the apocalypse, Gao Chan was a major force in the commercial capital. Duanya was one of his subordinates. Suddenly, Suddenly, Su Chen remembered something. He had heard that before the onset of the apocalypse, some areas had already begun experiencing ancestral mutations. Green City Hotel was one of those places, and that was one of the reasons Su Chen chose Green City Hotel. Now it seems that Gao Chang benefited from the unique location of Green City Hotel. In that case, I'm sorry, but this opportunity is mine now. Gao Chang took another look at Su Chen, then turned and walked away. This kid is interesting. Gao Chang chuckled softly. Then Gao Chang led Duanya into a room. Boss son, I've brought Duanya here. Duanya asked nervously, may I know what you need me for, boss son? Haha, I've long heard that Miss Duan is a great beauty. Today, I finally meet her in person. Come, let's drink this cup. Su Chen returned to his room and checked the time. By now, he had modified the curtains on the balcony to reflect sunlight. In my last life, I and Jiang Xiaoqian hid in the basement, and that's how we survived the scorching apocalypse. Unexpectedly, after ditching her this time, she ended up here. It's time to settle new scores along with old ones. Time slowly passed, and the night deepened. However, the moon in the sky was exceptionally bright, illuminating the entire earth as if sprinkled with a layer of silver white. Many people came out of their houses to look at the moon in the sky. This moon is so bright, it feels like the sun. Exactly, it's too bright. Do you guys feel a bit hot? Why does it seem hotter at night than during the day? At that time, Wang Haoyu also brought Jiang Xiaoqian out to see this evening's spectacle. Qian, do you see that? My love for you is as bright as the moon in the sky. This is the witness to our love. Wang Haoyu excitedly pointed at the moon in the sky. Jiang Xiaoqian felt a surge of contempt in her heart. Su Chen looked at the moon in the sky and murmured, your love is about to explode. As Su Chen's words fell, the moon in the sky suddenly became extremely bright, even dazzling. In that instant, the temperature in the air rose rapidly, so much so that people standing outside began to scream and run back into the hotel. The moon hung in the sky like a second sun, becoming extremely hot. At this moment, night instantly turned to day. The scorching apocalypse, eternal daylight. The apocalypse has arrived. At this time, Su Chen's red wine was also ready. He poured himself a glass of wine and raised it to the moon in the sky. Welcome to the apocalypse once again, Su Chen. Meanwhile, the hotel lobby was in complete chaos. Due to the perpetual daylight, many people had gathered in the hotel's lobby because of this spectacle. At that moment, several people rushed into the hotel lobby at full speed, searching everywhere for water. Wang Haoyu saw the lobby's fish tank and quickly plunged into it with a few others, soaking themselves completely before they barely managed to recover. After catching his breath, Wang Haoyu realized someone was missing. Where's Big Brother? Wang Dehai was already covered in blisters. Seeing this, everyone panicked. Big Brother, are you okay? Get the burn ointment. Hurry, bring the burn ointment. Big Brother, I was wrong. I'll never leave you behind again. On the other side, Duanya hesitated to drink the wine passed to her. There must be something wrong with this wine. I absolutely cannot drink it. But what should I do? Suddenly, a terrifying heatwave shot from the moon behind Duanya, and they quickly pulled the curtain shut. Wang Dehai and Gao Chang were terrified. Boss son, something seems really off here. Let's go downstairs to see what's going on. Duanya narrowly escaped disaster and finally breathed a sigh of relief. Back in the hotel, many people had already gathered in the lobby. Lu Xinrui tried to calm everyone. Everyone, please calm down. We've contacted the rescue team. Please wait here for rescue. Someone in the crowd shouted. Wait your ass. I make millions every minute. I can't afford to waste time here. Gao Chang looked at Boss Sun. How's it going? Boss Sun frowned and said, we can't spare any personnel. This might get a bit tricky. Big Brother, what do we do now? Wang Haoyu looked at Wang Dehai, puzzled. Wang Dehai looked at the scene outside, unsure of what to do for a moment. Go outside? Impossible. People would probably die from exposure within minutes. Let's stay here for now. I'll call someone else to have them drive over and pick us up. Hey, little Dao, we're at Green City Hotel. Drive over here to pick us up. The weather outside is hellish. Okay, see you soon. The call ended, and Wang Dehai's brother also started driving the van out. Since the car was in an underground parking garage, it didn't feel the lethal temperatures outside. However, the moment little Dao drove the car out, he instantly regretted it. After traveling just 100 or 200 meters, all 4 tires burst. The car just broke down under the scorching Sunday. Big Brother, the car's broken down. The tires burst. I can't make it now. Big Brother, I'm going back. You guys figure something out on your own. But he hadn't run far before little Dao's rubber shoes began to melt. The soles stuck to the ground, tripping him over. Sounds like sizzling meat came through the phone, and then there was silence. Meanwhile, in Su Chen's room, the air conditioner was set to 25 degrees, and Su Chen, seemingly unconcerned about what was happening outside, slept comfortably. The commercial capital organized a large number of people to maintain the operation of the power system, but in the face of such a natural disaster, human efforts were clearly too insignificant. A loud explosion was heard. The entire earth seemed to tremble. Everyone connected to the city's power company lost electricity. On the other side, the power outage caused many people to panic. In the room next to Su Chen's, where Wang Dehai and his subordinates were staying, the lack of power was proving too much for Wang Dehai's corpulent body to bear. Damn it, what the hell is going on with this place? Why is there no power? Jiang Xiaoqian reacted immediately. I remember Su Chen's presidential suite. street has a swimming pool. We could try to take it over. Just a few minutes after the power outage, Suchin felt a wave of heat envelop him. Suchin got up, placed 2 standing air conditioners from his storage space in the room, then connected them to a large battery to start powering the air conditioners. The temperature in the room quickly dropped. He also had a generator, but using it at this time would obviously make some noise. It could cause some trouble. Then, he took out a large basin and put 2 large ice blocks in it to cool the room. At that moment, a bottle of whiskey appeared in his hand. Pour the whiskey, add ice cubes. Comfortable. In this situation, having a glass of chilled whiskey is simply a dream. Then Suchin conjured up a feast. For the first day of the apocalypse, let's just have a simple breakfast. Suddenly, there was a loud banging on the door. Suchin couldn't help but frown. Nothing else needs to be said. Just by listening to that sound, you could tell the intentions were not good. When the door was opened, Wang Dehai instantly felt a cool breeze coming from the room. Wang Dehai felt as though he had arrived in heaven. Being naturally corpulent, he couldn't stand the heat, and now the cool air felt like sweet rain to him. But the next second, Wang Dehai's eyes widened. Ice blocks. 2 large ice blocks. He still has power in his room. Hurry up and vacate the room. Get out of here. Move out on your own. Don't make us force you. Why waste words? Just throw him outside. In this situation, being thrown outside would almost certainly be fatal. Wang Dehai sneered. Kid, you owe me 600,000 from before. It's time to pay back now. Vacate the room for me, and I'll consider it interest for these few days. As he said this, Wang Dehai started walking inside. Suddenly, a Colt pistol appeared in Suchen's hand. His finger moved, and a bullet instantly entered Wang Dehai's stomach. A burning sensation spread from his stomach, and Wang Dehai incredulously looked at his belly. Blood was slowly oozing out, and a tearing pain emanated from his stomach. Damn, you motherf. Don't move. Suchin still had his gun pointed at Wang Dehai. He hadn't chosen to kill them, not because he didn't want these people dead, but simply because he felt that letting them die now would be letting them off too easily. The apocalypse had just begun, the power had just gone out, and the real drama was just starting. Behind him, Wang Haoyu, a few other followers, and Jiang Xiaoqian were all stunned. A gun. A real gun. Not a fake. Where did he get this from? Wang Dehai took a step back, his eyes filled with red blood vessels. Fine. You win. I give up. Wang Dehai slowly turned to leave, but at that moment, Suchen's hand pulled the trigger without hesitation. Another gunshot rang out, and the bullet pierced through Wang Dehai's thigh. Wang Dehai screamed, his body trembling non-stop. If the pain in his stomach wasn't very clear before, this time it was very evident. Watching Wang Dehai half kneel on the ground in agony, Suchin said indifferently, if you're going to leave, just leave. Why all the nonsense? Think you're tough? At that point, Wang Dehai completely shut up, not daring to utter another word, afraid that saying one more word would earn him another bullet from Suchin. Suchin narrowed his eyes at the group. Now, I will count to 3. Disappear from my sight. Meanwhile, Gao Chang's eyes flickered, and he stood up, calling over Lu Xinrui. Go, prepare 10 days worth of food, and bring it to our room. Lu Xinrui paused. Food? We don't have that much left. What? How can your hotel not have food? Lu Xinrui was nervous. The shipment was scheduled to arrive today, and someone had booked 1,000 tables for a banquet recently, so most of the food supplies are gone. Boss Sun slammed the table. Then send up all the food you have left to me. Boss Sun's shout made the others around unhappy. What do you mean by that? Why should all the food be sent to you? What will we eat? Exactly. Just because you have money doesn't mean you can do whatever you want. If you're so rich, why don't you leave? Food should be shared by everyone. Why should it all go to you? At that moment, Wang Dehai and his followers shakily walked downstairs. Gao Chang immediately noticed. Wang Dehai had gunshot wounds on his body and leg. Gao Chang frowned at Wang Dehai. What happened to you? Wang Dehai didn't hide anything. Gritting his teeth, he said, upstairs. Some kid got a gun from God knows where. Damn, shot me without a second word. Then, Jiang Xiaoqian quickly spoke up. That guy's room has air conditioning and ice. I even saw him drinking chilled wine. Jiang Xiaoqian's thoughtless remark instantly made everyone around red-eyed, and Jiang Xiaoqian's thinking was simple. If I can't enjoy the cool air, then no one can. Little girl, are you serious? That guy has electricity in his room and ice blocks. She suddenly remembered Suchin buying ice blocks and food and said without hesitation, he definitely has ice blocks. Lots of ice blocks. I remember he bought several truckloads of them, stored them in an old warehouse on Old Warehouse Street, and lots of food too, all in that old warehouse. At that moment someone shouted, damn it, why does that kid still have ice blocks and can use air conditioning while we have to suffer here? Exactly. Let's go up and make him give up the ice blocks and the air conditioning. Let's get him. I'm steaming like a sauna here, and that kid gets to enjoy the air conditioning. Meanwhile, Suchin was asleep, only to be awakened by a series of knocks on the door. As Suchin opened the door, a cool breeze instantly wafted out from the room. The cool air hitting their sweaty bodies felt like every pore was opening up. The middle-aged woman's eyes widened, staring excitedly at Suchin. At that moment, the chubby boy stared intently at the fried chicken and beer Suchin had placed on the table. As soon as Suchin opened the door, the chubby boy tried to squeeze inside. Mommy, fried chicken. I want fried chicken. Without hesitation, Suchin kicked the chubby boy away. Control your child. Otherwise, I won't mind doing it for you. The middle-aged woman pointed at Suchin Chen and scolded, "What are you doing? Why are you hitting our child?" Feeling the slight coolness from the room, everyone's eyes reddened even more. The doorway was packed with people. Just when things were about to get out of control, a gunshot rang out. His aim was at the head of the person who was speaking. Blood splattered everywhere. Crimson and white matter sprayed out from the back of the head, splashing onto those nearby. The person's body fell straight down to the ground. Suchin spoke coldly, "I don't have many bullets, but you only have one life." By this time, Wang Dehai had already passed away due to the high temperatures and being shot. Wang Haoyu's eyes widened in fury. Suchin, it's all that bastard Suchen's fault. Under Suchen's oppressive force, the crowd could only dejectedly return to the lobby. Only Jiang Xiaoqian and Li Na stayed behind. "Suchin, just let us in, and I'll agree to marry you." Hearing this, I chuckled coldly. "Then come in." But just then, Wang Haoyu rushed into the room first. "Suchin, it's all your fault. I'm going to kill you." But the next second, Suchin pulled out a baseball bat. "Anyone who enters this door must die." He swung and sent Wang Haoyu flying several meters. Seeing Wang Haoyu unconscious, Jiang Xiaoqian and Li Na looked terrified. "Maybe we shouldn't go in. It's quite nice outside. Then get lost. If you don't leave, you might really die." At that moment, the roaring of engines suddenly came from outside. Not far away, some modified track vehicles were driving on the road, their windows heat insulated. The track vehicles stopped right under the hotel. Then some people wearing fireproof suits and carrying loaded guns got out and headed towards the hotel. Everyone stepped back. "Make way!" "Excuse me, is Academician Lu Jinhua here?" "Academician Lu, we are the rescue team. Please put on the heat-resistant suit and leave with us." Hearing this, the crowd immediately started murmuring, "Wait a minute, aren't you here to rescue us?" "Yes, you can't just save him alone." "Everyone, stay calm. The government has already started a rescue operation, and 12 a.m. is the coldest time of the day. Tonight you can make your way to Silicon Valley Square, which is the nearest rescue point." Hearing this, everyone was excited. "Really? There's a government rescue operation tomorrow morning. That's great. The government hasn't completely paralyzed." Sun Debiao pulled the surrounding crowd and shouted through the glass towards the direction of the track vehicles. "I am Sun Debiao from Sun Corporation. I'm here. Come rescue me quickly. I'll give you $1 billion. Sun Debiao reached out to grab something, but at that moment, a soldier suddenly ran over and stopped him. "Sir, please do not obstruct our operations." Sun Debiao, used to being arrogant, was already extremely agitated, and now being scolded by the soldier, he lost his temper completely. "Damn, obstruct your grandpa. Get lost. Give me that heat-resistant suit." The other soldiers at this time also raised their rifles, each one eyeing everyone present to prevent any unexpected incidents. Jiang Xiaoqian quickly thought of something and shouted loudly, "Soldier brother, wait a minute. Upstairs, there's a murderer living upstairs." Li Na also quickly reacted, "Yes, that murderer even has a gun. He has already killed several people. Yesterday, he almost raped us. Comrade, you must stand up for us. Don't let that murderer get away. Don't let him go." The soldier was somewhat troubled, as this situation was indeed unexpected. How did this murderer come to be, and why does he have a gun? The soldier looked back. "I'll stay here to check things out, and after handling it, we will regroup." Another soldier was a bit cautious, Xiao Feng. "In these special times, don't act rashly." The soldier named Xiao Feng said solemnly, "I know what I'm doing." Then, the soldier named Xiao Feng took off his own heat-resistant suit, let his comrades take it away, and stayed behind with some firearms, preparing to go upstairs to look for the murderer. Jiang Xiaoqian was secretly delighted to see this soldier staying behind. If the soldier could kill Su Chen, then they could stay in Su Chen's room until the rescue arrived. Lu Xiaofeng then slowly walked upstairs, cautiously looking around with every step. Lu Xiaofeng suddenly spotted a hidden camera. Somewhat baffled, he knew that the entire commercial capital was without power, and the only way to power the surveillance cameras was with a battery. Lu Xiaofeng was surprised as he watched the door in front of him being opened, somewhat puzzled. Just as he was still unaware of what was happening, something was thrown at him. Lu Xiaofeng watched cautiously, but when he saw the symbol on the object, Lu Xiaofeng instinctively wanted to close his eyes, but he was ultimately a step too slow. A flashbang. Just as Lu Xiaofeng hadn't recovered yet, he felt something fall beside him. Then there was the sound of gas being released. Lu Xiaofeng quickly covered his nose and closed his eyes. He was all too familiar with this sound. Tear gas. He struggled to discern the direction, trying to head towards the stairway exit. Discretion is the better part of valor when things start off badly, but just as he was turning around, he suddenly felt a heavy blow to the head. Lu Xiaofeng fell straight to the ground. Lu Xiaofeng gradually came to, but at this time, tears and snot were still streaming out, and he couldn't open his eyes for a moment. However, although he couldn't open his eyes, the sensation on his body, why did it feel so cool? And it seemed like he was tied up. Lu Xiaofeng, enduring the soreness in his eyes, slowly opened them, but he just saw a man examining his equipment. Army Infantry Brigade, Special Forces Deputy Team Leader, Lu Xiaofeng. The credentials are correct, aren't they? At this moment, Lu Xiaofeng had been stripped clean, and facing the Special Forces, Su Chen was extremely cautious. But who would have thought that upon hearing Su Chen declare his Special Forces identity, Lu Xiaofeng's face turned beet red. Air conditioning? Ice? Who exactly are you? And how did you get guns and flashbangs? I'm just a recent graduate. Has the government already set up rescue points, planning to have residents go there by themselves tomorrow at dawn? Hearing this, Lu Xiaofeng finally spoke. How do you know? Su Chen nodded slightly. This was similar to what he knew from his previous life. Although the temperature will drop significantly at dawn, being exposed to the moonlight for more than 10 minutes will still cause fainting, and many people will die on the way to the rescue points. There's no other way. We've established safe zones, but it's difficult to modify rescue vehicles, and many people can't hold on any longer, so we have to let the residents head to the rescue points by themselves tomorrow morning. Here's a piece of advice. Tell your experts or whoever leads. Before traveling at night, it's best to wrap yourselves in thick blankets or heavy coats, and try to avoid exposure to the sun, especially your skin. Lu Xiaofeng was astonished. Really? Su Chen untied Lu Xiaofeng's ropes, then returned his belongings. I respect what you do, so I won't kill you this time, but I won't tolerate repeated challenges from you. Lu Xiaofeng looked at Su Chen and said gravely, aren't you afraid that after I leave, I'll call for backup to deal with you? Afraid? First, look up and see what that is. A sentry gun tower with facial recognition cameras. Where on earth did you get such a thing? Shipped in from the Middle East. Once activated, no one in this room can survive except for me. But given the current circumstances, you probably don't have the time to deal with me. Lu Xiaofeng said nothing more and just walked out the door. At that moment, someone noticed something was missing from Lu Xiaofeng. His gun. Lu Xiaofeng's gun had been confiscated. Sun Debiao's face looked extremely ugly, and he punched Gao Chang in the face in frustration. What am I feeding you for? Why didn't you act just now? A bunch of good-for-nothings. Get lost. A follower couldn't take it anymore. Boss, how long do we have to endure him? Gao Chang's face darkened. The government has started the rescue operation. Once order is restored, we'll still need his connections up there. At that moment, Su Chen walked over. Chaos has descended, and Boss Gao is still delusional about restoring order. The follower immediately got angry. Who the hell is this brat? I'll kill you. Gao Chang hurriedly stopped the follower. Su Chen, how did you get downstairs? Su Chen smiled as he poured out a bucket of ice. I came to make a deal with Boss Gao. Seeing the ice, the two were completely stunned. Ice? It's ice. Big brother, he must have more good stuff in his room. Kill him and it's all ours. The next second, Su Chen pulled out a submachine gun and held it under the follower's chin. Gao Chang quickly tried to smooth things over with a laugh. Haha, brother Su Chen, don't stoop to his level. Let's talk about the deal. No need to be nervous. Brother Chang, I'm not trying to kick you out. I just want you to leave a few people behind for me. Keep Jiang Xiaoqian, Li Na, Wang Hao you here, and don't let them go to the safety zone. After the deal, the two of them took a piece of ice and started sucking on it. I've been stuck here for 3 days. This is the first time I've felt so good. I can't imagine what that kid's room is like. Let's agree to his demands for now, then find a chance to kill him and the room will be ours. But the ice was discovered by Sun Debiao, who came up and kicked them. Good one, Gao Chang. Hiding ice blocks. Next time you don't bring out good stuff voluntarily, you're dead. Gao Chang couldn't take it anymore. Seeing Sun Debiao grabbing the ice, he turned to Duanya. Oh, isn't this Duanya? It's so hot, and you still won't take off your clothes. Quite the modest one, but I like playing with ones like you. I'm in the mood now. Come upstairs with me. Gao Chang spoke up. Boss Sun, isn't that a bit too much? Sun Debiao roared. Fuck you, Gao Chang. Am I giving you too much face? Do you know who you're talking to? But the next second, Gao Chang suddenly made his move, plunging a dagger straight into Sun Debiao's neck. Su Chen is right. It's chaotic times now, so you can die. From now on, I'm in charge here. Everyone else can either go to the rescue point or die here. Su Chen quietly watched the scene unfold upstairs. It seems my words had an effect. Since you were the boss here in my past life, if I accelerate the process, would your opportunity also arrive sooner? Beside him, Jiang Xiaoqian and another person eagerly watched Gao Chang. Jiang Xiaoqian greedily eyed the bottle in Gao Chang's hand. Although the ice was gone, that bottle surely had ice water in it. Even drinking ice water would be fine. Li Na also repeatedly agreed. Yes, if Brother Chang can give us ice, we'll do anything. Gao Chang frowned at Jiang Xiaoqian and Li Na, originally intending to refuse, but then he remembered Su Chen's words. Having taken a favor from Su Chen, he felt obligated to comply, so he handed the thermos to Jiang Xiaoqian. If that's the case, then follow me. Whatever I tell you to do, you do. Jiang Xiaoqian joyfully took the thermos from Gao Chang, quickly opening it and trying to pour the water into her mouth. Li Na reached out to grab it. Leave some for me. Save some. The people inside the hotel had finally made it to the time, midnight. Although the light outside was blinding, the temperature had dropped slightly. Many people were wrapping themselves in blankets, ready to leave the hotel. Gao Chang and his group had tight control over the resources, and they wouldn't survive much longer there. Heading to the relocation site still offered a glimmer of hope. Jiang Xiaoqian and Li Na also wanted to wrap themselves in blankets and leave. Old Cat walked over. What are you doing? Brother Chang gave you the ice water, and now you want to leave? That doesn't make sense, does it? Besides, didn't you say you'd do anything? Then hang out with me first. Many people began to rush outside wrapped in blankets. Since Gao Chang took control of the supplies, he hadn't given them any water or food. Staying in the hotel meant dying of thirst. Going to the rescue point might offer a way to survive, but it was hotter outside than expected. Even with wooden boards tied to their shoes, they could still feel the heat of the ground. At this moment, the old lady behind stumbled and fell to the ground. When her hands touched the ground, she sizzled like frying meat, instantly emitting a sizzling sound. She tried to stand up, but the intense heat glued her flesh to the ground. The flesh on her hands was torn off directly. At a time like this, one didn't even know if they could survive, let alone worry about others, even if it was a family member. Survival first in this doomsday. A night passed. By now, Wang Dehai and Sun Debiao's bodies resembled shriveled apples, their outer skin yellowed or even charred, but they hadn't completely disappeared. The two corpses at the entrance moved. Under the scorching sunlight, a strange creature emerged, a drought demon. Suchin knew about this creature from his past life, but back then, no one dared to confront it. Now, in the extreme heat of the sun, these corpses would turn into monsters. At the second-floor restaurant, no one realized what changes had occurred to the two corpses at the door, but a loud noise erupted, and everyone turned to look outside. They saw the two half-dried corpses breaking through the glass door and advancing into the room. When people saw this scene, they were all stunned. Zombies! They're zombies! Gao Chang, what should we do now? Go try it yourself and find out. Gao Chang pushed Wang Haoyu toward the zombies, and the high temperature emitted by the zombies roasted Wang Haoyu alive. At this moment, a figure emerged from the crowd. Everyone looked at the figure in astonishment. Is this guy trying to deal with the zombies? Then let him kill the zombies, and then we'll kill him. In the apocalypse, corpses exposed to sunlight will mutate, but they're not zombies and won't spread the virus, so I also call them drought demons. In my past life, Gao Chang probably killed this person, which made him the first drought demon driven by the desire for revenge against Gao Chang, while this Wang Dehai became another drought demon because I killed him. Suchin didn't hesitate at this moment and charged directly at the drought demon transformed from Sun Debiao. Suchin swung his long knife and slashed Sun Debiao directly. A crystal core popped out of Sun Debiao's head. This is the crystal core that can bring about superhuman physique. Suchin grabbed the crystal core and immediately leaped up to kick Wang Dehai towards the crowd. Suchin used a knife to lift Sun Debiao's head and then stuffed it into his backpack, turning towards the staircase. You guys have fun. Gao Chang also quickly reacted. What are you staring at? Kill him. Kill this monster. Then, Gao Chang grabbed Wang Haoyu, who had been stunned by the heat, and threw him towards Wang Dehai. On the other side, Suchin entered a room on the 4th floor. In the apocalypse, crystal cores occasionally appear inside the skulls of dried corpses and mutated beasts. They are extremely rare, not even 1 in 100. Suchin cleaned the crystal core with clear water, then placed it in whiskey and swallowed it down with the liquor. The moment the crystal core entered his body, Suchin felt an extremely violent heat throughout his body. He looked at his hands, which were originally fair, but now they turned a faint blood red. It was as if his hands were wrapped in strands of blood. Then, explosive power began to spread inside him, seemingly ready to burst Suchin's body at any moment. This lasted for half an hour. During this half hour, Suchin felt as if all his internal organs were burning. The 100 pounds of ice in the room melted very quickly, much faster than usual. Second floor restaurant. Gao Chang and the others had a hard time chopping off Wang Dehai's head. But when it rains, it pours. When one is unlucky, even drinking water can choke. During the struggle with Wang Dehai, Gao Chang and the others' water bottles were knocked over. Those plastic bottles, upon contacting the high temperature of Wang Dehai's body, melted instantly. This instantly resulted in a significant loss of drinking water. Gao Chang and the others were in despair. Without water, it meant death. At this moment, Jian Xiaoqian and Li Na, seeing the situation was dire, attempted to escape, but were caught red-handed by Old Cat. You bitches think you can run. Believe it or not, I'll take your legs off. Li Na also pleaded, without water, we will all die of thirst. I can tell you a way to deal with Suchin. Just let me go to the rescue point. Speak up. If you dare to trick me, you're dead. Jian Xiaoqian is Suchin's fiancée. If you handle her at Suchin's doorstep, he will surely open the door, and then you can take the opportunity to ambush him. Hearing this, Jian Xiaoqian screamed, Li Na, you bitch, what are you saying? I can cooperate with you, but I'm hungry. You need to feed me first. I want to eat meat. Humph, eat meat? The meat in the fridge has gone bad. I'd still love to eat meat myself. Seeing this, Gao Chang's face darkened. You want to eat meat? Then do it yourself. Jian Xiaoqian was stunned. You mean the meat on her body? Immediately, Jian Xiaoqian turned towards Li Na with a grim expression, took a fruit knife from Gao Chang, and walked straight towards Li Na. Seeing this, Li Na was panic-stricken. What are you doing? What do you mean? Don't come over. Xiaoqian, we are sisters. You can't do this. Stop lying to yourself. Are we really sisters? Besides, you just asked them to handle me, so don't blame me. If you have to blame someone, blame yourself. Ha ha ha. This scene left Gao Chang and the others stunned. Women can be so ruthless when they act. Lina had been stabbed by her best friend and was unconscious. With a fierce look, Jiang Xiaoqian laughed. Ha ha, Su Chen, wait till I'm full, then I'll go up and drink your blood. Gao Chang instructed. Let Duanya cook the meat. The brothers need to be full to have the strength to deal with Su Chen. Without water, we won't last a day. If you don't want to turn into a zombie, do as I say. Old Cat turned around and yelled, where's Duanya? Find her. Inside Su Chen's room, Su Chen also felt his body temperature noticeably rising. This is a physique type ability. It seems my heat resistance has increased, and my muscles and strength have become stronger. Since Gao Chang was called a berserker in my past life because of his physique type ability, I'll name this ability Berserker. At that moment, Su Chen noticed through the surveillance that Duanya was at the door. Duanya was extremely nervous at this point. Have Gao Chang and the others gone mad? It's unbearable downstairs. This place is my only hope. Thankfully, I still have something to bargain with. Su Chen, forgetting to wear clothes, opened the door directly. What's up? Duanya saw something she shouldn't have, screaming, pervert. Sorry, I didn't mean it. Su Chen awkwardly said, well, my resources are limited, and we've only met once. I can't just take you in because you're pretty, right? From what I know about Duanya in my past life, she is a very strong-willed woman and had a cooperative relationship with Gao Chang. Although I thought about winning her over, the atmosphere is a bit awkward now. Blushing, Duanya said, I'm not just a chef, I'm also an outstanding graduate of Southwest Medical University with a medical license and 3 years of experience as a surgeon. The room is actually so nice. There's electricity and ice. I must demonstrate my value to stay. You're actually still a doctor, which is indeed a very tempting offer, but now supplies are even scarcer, and I don't even know if we'll survive till tomorrow. As long as you don't kick me out, I can do anything. Ha, Miss Duan, since you've spoken up, treat this as your own home. However, I must warn you, your only choice here is to behave and not be cunning, or else. I understand. I never doubt your methods and determination. Good. Now take off your clothes. Duanya was shocked. Now, are we starting right now? Then Duanya started to take a shower in the bathroom. Inside the bathroom, Duanya tentatively turned on the tap and was pleasantly surprised to find that it actually had water. Water, electricity, food, and even a bath. No need to worry about the hot weather. No need to worry about being eaten, and no need to worry about other people. For those outside, this place is simply heaven, although this Su Chen is not exactly a gentleman. However, as soon as Duanya entered the bathroom, Su Chen pulled out his phone and started watching the surveillance video inside the bathroom. I'm not watching you shower. I just want to see if you do anything bad in there. After taking a shower, Duanya walked out wearing the nurse uniform prepared by Su Chen. Suddenly, a cry for help came from outside. Help! Su Chen, open the door! Su Chen, come out and save me! Old Cat harshly said. Boy, if you don't come out, we're going to break the door. Su Chen sighed softly. Alright, don't break the door. I'm coming out. If this door gets broken, it will be quite troublesome to fix. Su Chen opened the door. As he expected, the moment he opened the door, a dagger suddenly stabbed through the crack. At that moment, Su Chen's reaction speed greatly increased, and he grabbed the wrist of the attacker and thrust the dagger into the person's throat. Gao Chang and his group were stunned. Jiang Xiaoqian struggled to break free from Gao Chang's grasp and rushed towards Su Chen. However, she was instead grabbed by the throat by Su Chen, who had already realized that Jiang Xiaoqian had mutated. Once you eat human flesh, your body will mutate and sharp teeth will grow in your mouth. You are no longer human. And Gao Chang and the others also showed their sharp teeth. It's the fucking apocalypse. As long as we can survive, what's wrong with eating people? Jiang Xiaoqian stuck out her tongue, her face ferocious. Ha, the flesh tastes so delicious. After eating it, my body is filled with strength. So Su Chen, I can't wait to taste you. The next second, Su Chen kicked her out of the hotel corridor window. Just as she was about to fall from the high-rise, she desperately clung to the edge of the window with her mutated claws. Su Chen, I will not let you go so easily. But the next second she realized something was wrong. The sunlight outside the hotel instantly shone on her. The scorching heat made her swing painfully at the edge of the railing. Meanwhile, several of his underlings roared and rushed towards Su Chen. Let's go together. Don't give him a chance to draw his gun. Seeing this, Su Chen stood still, not moving an inch. Do I really need to waste my bullets on you few small fries? Hearing this, the underling at the forefront came flying at Su Chen with a move called Angry Crow Takes Flight. Kid, don't underestimate people. But the next second, Su Chen raised his hand and shot him in the forehead. But I like to waste. The bullet instantly went through the back of the small fry's head. The remaining three immediately spread out and surrounded Su Chen. The one with long hair leaped right above Su Chen. Now our strength, as well as our reaction and speed, have also increased. With preparation, you can't possibly hit us. So kid, go die now. However, before he could finish his sentence, Su Chen jumped up and grabbed his head. You've been babbling for a while. Are you done? Following that, Su Chen performed a powerful dunk, slamming long hair hard onto the floor. Seeing that bald little Dao was about to stab me, I grabbed his wrist holding the knife. Then, with a 180-degree external swipe, I easily dealt with the two underlings in front of me. Seeing this, Black Boss Gao Chang swung his fist towards Su Chen, but the next second, Su Chen grabbed his neck. Then Then with one forceful move, he smashed him hard against the wall. The terrifying force cracked the entire wall. But at that moment, a dark figure suddenly appeared at the end of the corridor. The next second, the figure smashed through the hotel's bulletproof glass and instantly appeared in front of me. Seeing the person clearly, I slightly furrowed my brow. Jiang Xiaoqian, I didn't expect you to mutate to the second stage so quickly. It seems you hold a deep grudge against me for not marrying you. Then I twisted Gao Chang's neck. Since you haunt me so persistently, I might as well kill you again. Hearing my words, Jiang Xiaoqian's pupils turned a blood red. Then she opened her mouth wide and roared. A terrifying energy suddenly burst forth from her body, facing the irrational Jiang Xiaoqian. At this time, Duanya heard the noise outside, opened the door, and walked out. Seeing the mess, she was initially shocked. Su Chen is amazing. He managed to take down Gao Chang and his gang all by himself, but the monster in front of us gives off a very dangerous vibe. I must think of something. If I want to stay by Su Chen's side, I can't become a burden. Then Duanya took out a whip. I'll help you deal with it. Su Chen was somewhat surprised when he saw Duanya. Help me? Not scared and hiding. That's not bad, but you'll only distract me. Duanya instantly blushed. Jiang Xiaoqian became even more furious at this scene and charged at Su Chen like a madwoman. She clawed open Su Chen's chest, but only left a few shallow scratches on Su Chen's chest. The material had activated the recently absorbed power, the Berserker. Jiang Xiaoqian then bit Su Chen from behind, but it was like biting into a piece of steel. Su Chen, without turning his head, coldly said, "Can't bite through? Are all your sharp teeth just for show?" Then he grabbed Jiang Xiaoqian's wrist, leaped up, and stomped hard on her back. He tore her arms off brutally, and Jiang Xiaoqian fell to the ground, emitting a painful howl. Su Chen threw away the severed arms. I originally wanted to let you suffer through the apocalypse and die slowly, but now I have to kill you sooner. At that moment, Jiang Xiaoqian wrapped a nearby corpse with her tail and swallowed it whole. Then many sharp spikes grew from her body, and her severed arms grew back, emitting a fierce roar. Su Chen was somewhat surprised. The severed arms grew back? Duanya couldn't believe it. How is this possible? Unexpectedly, Su Chen actually felt a bit delighted. Great, if you have regenerative abilities, that means you won't die so easily. It also means I can tear you apart many times. Su Chen again grabbed Jiang Xiaoqian's left hand, then yanked it hard, then grabbed her right hand, and did the same. Next, he went for the tail and the legs. It wasn't long before the torn limbs grew back, but Jiang Xiaoqian was already lying on the ground, gasping for breath. Are you ready? The second time is about to start. The third, fourth, fifth, eighth time, it turns out not only the limbs, even the eyes and tongue can regenerate. 16 times, even the internal organs can grow back. It seems like everything but the head can regenerate. But why not after the 21st time? I was planning to dig out the eyes, but let's forget it. After all, I'm not a devil. Jiang Xiaoqian couldn't help but cry. Why? It's obviously for revenge, said Su Chen as he ended Jiang Xiaoqian's life with a kick. Duanya, standing by, looked astonished. Su Chen, are you okay? But Su Chen turned around coldly. Are you ready? This really scared Duanya. Ready? For what? I was so brave just now. Shouldn't you be preparing to reward me? A reward? Here?